Hola guys, we're going to review the past tense in Spanish a little bit today. El pasado. Hemos hablado de eso mucho, ¿sí? Sabemos que hay un pasado que describe como había una chica, ella era muy bonita, ella le gustaba blank. And then there's also this sudden past tense for actions. Right now we're going to go through this sudden past tense, or el pretérito. Let's talk about actions. When we want to say something happened, somebody went somewhere, somebody said something, so on and so forth. We're going to start with the concept of AR verbs. Verbos que terminan con A y R. AR verbs are verbs like bailar, exclamar, bailar, exclamar, contar, to tell, contar, like to tell stories, contar historias, cantar, to sing, hablar, to talk, hablar, acercarse, to approach, escaparse, to escape. We know a lot of these verbs, and we need to know how to use them to describe actions. For this, we're going to use the preterite. Originally, we learned the preterite using the he, she form. So that's like saying, un día la chica bailó. One day, the girl bailó, she danced. De repente, ella exclamó. She exclaimed. And we know that we were using the past tense because it ended with that O with an accent. So if I said bailó, that would mean he or she danced. Bailó. If I was to say de repente ella exclamó, exclamó, he or she exclaimed. This is the past tense he, she version. Sorry, I'm looking for a marker that'll actually show up for you guys. Exclamó, he or she exclaimed. If I wanted to say he or she spoke, I would say él o ella habló. That O with an accent. This is when adding accents becomes really important, because if I just had hablo, that's I speak, I talk. Hablo, yo hablo. But if it's habló, then it's saying he or she spoke. To make this easier on ourselves, we do add it in that subject ahead of time. Ella habló, she spoke. Ella exclamó, she exclaimed. Ella se acercó, she approached. Ella se acercó la computadora. She approached the computer. That is the he, she version of these verbs. Then, we turn a little over here so I have more room. We take the IR and the ER verbs, things like decidir, y escribir, y correr. And similarly, es súper similar, terminan con un O con acento, pero antes hay un I. Io. Así que si quiero decir la chica decided, ella decidió. Ella decidió. She decided that one time, not that she was decided, but she was deciding something, but that she decided. Ella decidió. She decided. Then, if I wanted to say she wrote, ella escribió. She wrote. If I wanted to say that she ran, ella corrió. Siempre con O con acento. Okay? This is the he, she form. We know that one. That one's pretty simple. But then, I'm sorry, my marker's dead again, so we're going to come back and grab a new one. Where are my markers? I found more, guys. Good news. I'm back. Then, if we're not trying to say he or she did something, instead of that, we wanted to say I, yo, I did something. It's going to be, for the AR verbs, an E with an accent, con acento. So, yo bailé, I danced. Yo exclamé, I exclaimed. Yo hablé, I spoke. Yo me acerqué. And this one is a little funny because it ends with the letters C-A-R. Now, in Spanish, words that end with car, words that end with zar, and words that end with gar are going to have a little bit something funky happen to them. Let's look over here, but the funky thing only happens in the yo form. Car, gar, zar verbs have to change a little bit of their spelling because of the sound of Spanish. So, for acercarse, to approach something, if I was saying he or she approached, it's acercó, and it has that k sound. C's in Spanish, depending on what vowel they're by, can either be k sounds or s sounds. So we want to make sure that we keep that k sound. So it turns into me acerqué, that k. To make K in Spanish, the sound is Q-U-E with an accent. Me acerqué, I approached. Me acerqué. Another example of this is buscar, to look for. For this, if I wanted to say I looked for, we need to have that sound make busqué, I looked for. Not busé, I looked. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't keep that k sound. Me hacerse, without this QU, that's what it would spell. So we need to change the spelling. Similarly, for buscar, we change the spelling so it's B-U-S-Q-U-E with an accent. Busqué, yo busqué, I looked for. With the zar verbs, we have verbs like empezar, to start. So we need to keep that s sound now, not the k sound. So, I'm spelling everything wrong. Empezar is the verb, and we need to keep that sar sound. So, empecé, C-E with an accent is how we would do that for the zar verbs. Then we know jugar, like yo jugué baloncesto, and we have to get a ge sound. Jugué, not jugué, jugué. So that one turns into, instead of saying J-U jugar and just taking off the AR and adding an E, that's jugué, which just sounds funny, we need to make jugué. So we add a U in there. Jugué. All that to say is E with an accent is that marker for the yo form of AR. Then we come back over here and we have the IR-ER, which for he, she form had the EO. Decidió, escribió, corrió. This one gets really simple. We remember that the I is the marker for it being an ER-IR verb, EO. So for the yo form of this, it's just going to be I with con acento. So decidió changes to decidí. Con acento. Escribió changes to yo escribí, I wrote. Corrió changes to yo corrí, I ate, comí. Pretty simple. Now, we don't just say that I did something or he did something. Sometimes we say they did something. For AR words, that's going to be Aaron. That Aaron ending. So, instead of with bailar, we take off the AR and we make ellos bailaron. They talked. With caminar, it changes to ellos caminaron. They walked. Ellos exclamaron. They exclaimed. Pretty simple. And the they form of the IR-ER is also pretty simple. Instead of this, it is eron. Eron. So decidieron means they decided. Escribieron, they wrote. Corrieron, they ran. This IERON, in my opinion, sounds a little bit like ieron, kind of like an airplane. So that's one way to remember it. We've got only 2 more things that we need to talk about. So one of them is if we want to say that you did something. For AR, it's haste. So bailaste, you danced. So if I wanted to say, did you dance last night? Bailaste anoche? Did you dance? Bailaste anoche? Did you dance last night? Or if I wanted to say, did you talk with the teacher? Hablaste con el profesor? Did you talk with them? Haste? Oh, sí, yo bailé ayer. Yes, I danced yesterday. Sí, hablé ayer. I talked yesterday. But this haste ending is great for knowing how to say you, too. Did you do something? Then, for the IR-ER, it is an iste ending. Corriste? Did you run? Corriste? Escribiste? Did you write? Decidiste? Did you decide? Pretty simple. And then the last one I've saved for last because it's easiest, and it's the same as the present tense. For the nosotros version, if you want to say we did something in the past tense, it is still just amos, A-M-O-S, bailamos. Means both we dance and we danced. So you just have to, como siempre, prestar atención al contexto. And then last but not least, we have the IR-ER, which is just imos. So decidimos, we decided. Escribimos, we wrote. Corrimos, we ran. And it stays with that I-M-O-S, even if it's an ER or IR verb. And that's how you know the past tense, how to say actions in the past tense. This is for all regular verbs. Next time we'll go through some irregular verbs to learn a little bit more about them. Muy bien.